KBN Live is brought to you by Dugout Bait and Tackle. Dugout Bait and Tackle is the premier kayak fishing outfitter in the Southeast. Go to dugoutfishing.com, find everything you need to set yourself up for the 2023 kayak bass fishing season. KBN Live is also brought to you by ProGuide Lithium. Go to ProGuideBatteries.com and find the power you need for everything on your kayak. Also sponsored by Western Sun Vodka. Go to westernsundistillery.com and use the bottle finder to find a retailer near you.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey.
So, I kind of figured a little bit out there until the end. Jeff is on this trial by fire kick where I have to discover all his hidden little Easter eggs in the StreamYard game. But as you see, I've got my co-host Shane tonight, who's coming in live with his floor on his ceiling.
Back at it again.
You wild for that one. Where are you now, Shane? You've had a little move since the last time we spoke.
Yeah. I decided to up and move my entire life to Pensacola. So about 5-6 hours due west of the old stomping grounds.
But there's some decent fishing and a couple decent kayak anglers in Pensacola, as it were.
Absolutely. Yeah. I went and hang out with Brandon Barton last night. Got to do some pretty cool things. Hoping to hit him up a little bit more. Matt Van's floating around here somewhere.
Matthew Van. You say his whole
Matthew
name.
Van.
Don't you call him Matt.
I'll drop his middle name.
I saw you and Old Dave. You and Old Dave was out monkeying around doing something.
Yeah. I mean, Old Dave went and hit some lake over there in Mobile.
He put you on some rat reds, or what happened?
No, he wanted to do greenfish, man.
What?
We got all this salt water around us, and he said, "No, I got this little puddle up here. It's got a couple little ditch pickles in it."
Was it the City Park place that he took me?
It's a big lake. I guess it's probably the freshwater reservoir for Mobile. It's a good. The only thing about that lake, though, we pulled up, and he's like, "Yeah, don't mind this, but we gotta pressure wash our boats down before we get in the water."
Hell yeah!
So we pulled up and pulled into these car washing bays and had to spray our boats down.
They got them right there at the ramp.
Yeah,
that's some Cali stuff there.
It was very, very Cali.
Speaking of Cali, I just saw Traba pop up in the green room. So
perfect. There we go. All right, he's in it then.
Oh, heck yeah. All right, well, so tonight we're going to be talking about Florida fishing because a lot of folks have either been in Florida previously or heading that way for the Harris Chain event. We've got a couple of true pros here to let us know all the secrets, what to look for, what to watch out for. Don't hang, chicken off the side of your boat. I am going to bring these folks in here.
Spill all the juice.
You think they're going to?
I hope so.
Let's see.
I know.
Let's find
I
out.
can get on those. Hey, there the boys are.
What's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing?
Welcome to the hood.
Yep. I'm at work.
You're at work?
Yeah.
They pay you for this? Man, you got it made. Jake and Jake, we didn't think this through, guys. Come on, we gotta do better here.
Jake 1 and Jake 2.
Yeah. So we'll start with Suvak. We'll go with that. Tell us. So you're in South Carolina now, but we all know you from your intimate battles with Conrad down there in Florida in the KBBBBBT series. Give us a little background on yourself.
So originally from Cleveland, Ohio, played hockey in college. I lived up in Canada for a bit, lived out in Massachusetts, kind of really got into kayak fishing. When I finished playing hockey, I just really wanted some competition in my life. And I grew up fishing on Lake Erie and, got a little 9-foot kayak and started fishing from it and found tournaments and really just went from there.
9-foot.
After that, I moved down to Florida. Yeah, 9 foot.
Jake's 7 foot tall and a 9-foot kayak. This is awkward.
It got to the point where it was just about to sink, really. And I had no choice. I had to get something bigger. But, so after college, I moved down to Tampa, Florida, and just really got into fishing. Went down there. And that's really where my tournament started. I fished a couple up north, but it was before I really had any idea what the hell I was doing. Man, there was a tournament like right in my marina, like one of the East West Harbor KBF tournaments. Yeah. And my family's got a boat up there, and it's where I grew up. I'm like, oh, I'm going to win this. I fish here every summer. And I mean, I went out there and got
Robert Weicker enters the chat.
Yeah, I went out there. I got a limit. I was happy about that, but I mean, it was all 12, 13-inch fish. It was just there was a lot more to fishing than I realized there was to know about it. At that point.
Other than just knowing where the water was.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I moved down to Florida. A good buddy of mine I played hockey with up in New York. He moved down to Jacksonville. He fishes a Toyota series, and he taught me just about everything that I know now. So, I was very thankful to have him there and have somebody to share a few beers with. But nice. It was, just building from there. Learned a lot from him, and then branched out from there and started doing a lot more fishing on my own and going out every other weekend and building up to the bigger tournaments, going to the Hobies and the Bass Masters and the KBF stuff.
I like it. Traba, the last time I saw you were in a van in our driveway, I believe.
Lake Caddo.
In Louisiana, yeah.
Probably drunk too.
Nah, not at our house, pal. No.
Sober as a bird where we are.
So after that, you got really upset and packed up and left California, I hear.
Yeah. Well, I get transferred every 4 years, so it was time to move.
And where'd you land?
I'm in Miami, Florida now.
It's not a bad spot.
Yeah,
Lake Okeechobee a lot, huh?
Yeah, that's my spot.
Big O.
Have you been to La Boya down there?
No, where's that at?
Google it one night about midnight when you're out cruising. It'll make sense then. It means the boy.
Oh, all right. Perfect.
It'll remind you a lot of California.
I've had a good time. Yeah. Fishing's fun. Bass fishing's fun. A lot of women chase around.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, that part came through.
Yeah, that came through loud and I think we might be losing you a little bit. Are you guys getting the same?
Yeah, it's a little choppy.
Feedback here. What kind of internet does the military provide?
This is all on AT&T. Let me see if I can get out of the building.
You ain't got to quit work. So you've been fishing more big boat stuff though, right? You're not quite the avid kayak angler that you once were.
Yeah, I stopped doing that once I got out of California. I kind of just decided to jump to the front of the boat and fish some more of those type events.
So what's the last event that you fished? You just fished a big one down there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I fished the Toyota Series. It was on the Harris Chain, actually.
On Harris Chain of all lakes.
Did you catch them?
Hold on real quick. It's on
loud
where I'm at.
For sure.
Suvak, what do you think?
It was a good event. I just got done with that one this last week.
What'd you end up with?
I ended up 23rd out of 260 boats.
That's solid.
Yeah, it was pretty good finish. But it was my first.
Y'all had decent weather for that one, huh?
Yeah, up until the very last day.
Yeah.
So the fish were starting to move around and get up on beds and stuff. But then cold front came in the last day.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm looking for a cold front on the first day of this one, but we'll see how it goes.
I think you'll get it almost always.
It definitely gets them going there.
I love it. Jake, have you fished the Harris Chain yourself?
Yeah,
that was my first.
Oh, sorry. I forget it. We have two Jakes. Traba and Suvak. That's how we're going to go. Suvak, have you fished the Harris Chain a lot yourself?
Yeah, I have. I spent a lot of time on Dora, but I've gotten around to a lot of the lakes. I think like a Popka might be the only one that I didn't actually fish. That was one of them, right? Yeah, on the chain.
I think that's the one that won the event this past whatever this tournament was.
Yeah, Popka's a good lake to hit. They've got a lot of big fish in there. Dora and
Always
Bouclair
heard
are
big
also
bags come there.
yeah.
Our house, I think we're staying in Claremont or something, so I think I can probably drive from the house to the ramp if it's a Popka. So I may have to shoot for that one.
Yeah, that's what the Elite Series last year. Those guys were locking into a Popka, and they were waiting 3-4 hours every morning to get through the lock because the lock could only hold like 3 boats, and there would be 20-30 guys that were locking through. But to them, it was worth burning half their tournament day to lock through and get down there to those fish, even though they weren't getting there until noon.
I like
day,
it.
which was insane to me. But
Yeah, that's what a lot of
guys
guys did this tournament. So
If you wake up at like 9, you're usually getting to the fish about noon anyway. So I like it. This is solid. Feeling hopeful here. So you said you like Dora quite a bit, Jake. I mean, how did these lakes actually set up differently, or is it like there's more of a concentration of fish in other lakes? And how many do we have to contend with here?
So they set up. Some of them set up very similar. Like grassy lakes, a lot of hydrilla or the coontail all over the place. And some of them, I'm like I said, I never fished a Popka, but I'm pretty sure that's more of like a bowl where it's like more classic Florida fishing with like flipping at reeds and stuff like that. And then if you go to like Griffin, you can go into the marshes and it's more like Fellsmere or what is it, Headwaters now, where it's I mean just popped out. Yeah, and that I mean it's fun and I think you can really choose the style of fishing that you want to go for.
Are you going to fish this event yourself?
I wish. I can't get off work.
Oh my goodness, that's tough.
I'd love to get down there, but it's busy time of the year for me.
That's a tough one. Jake, what's your favorite out of the chain? The other Jake, Traba. Jesus.
I really liked Bouclair. Like Bouclair was more my style. It's real clear water, a lot of grass. Every other lake pretty dirty.
Were they already pushing up, Jake, when you were there? Were they starting to bed?
Yeah, there was fish on beds.
Yeah.
There was fish on beds. There's fish post-spawn. There's fish spawning. Yeah, pre-spawn. All three. So yeah, like I set up on like a pre-spawn type deal, like a hard spot, and just waited for fish to come in and out.
Yeah.
I read the guy that won it. It said like he fished like super slow, that he would fish like 30 or 60 yards per day.
Per day.
Per day. I like
that.
I like
that's
that.
about what I did. Yeah.
That's some good slow fishing.
Anchor down and hit every little reed individually.
Or just let that worm soak, baby. Just let that worm soak. They'll swing by in a minute.
That's right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because they just keep cruising back and forth. So if you leave it in like the prime spot, they're just gonna eventually come to you.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the sound of that. Suvak, what's your style? Do you like that, kind of slow, more finesse fishing, or are you a power guy, hit him in the face?
More a power guy. That's what's killing. Like I live in South Carolina now. That's killing me right now. I live fishing in colder water, at least where the water's high 40s, low 50s. I can't slow down enough to catch a damn thing. But
I'll mail you a pack of Cincos. That's what you.
That
need.
Kills me, man. But yeah, I'd like something moving. I try to move something the entire time if I can, and really same thing though. Even the stuff that's moving, I never really did well with it until I really started slowing it down.
Really?
Yeah, and that's when things really picked up for me, especially out there.
So this is a good point. Florida Jerry says all the big lizards hang in a Popka. For people that haven't fished around lizards or alligators, what is there anything to worry about for kayak anglers? We'll start with you, Traba, not Jake.
I would say don't carry marshmallows around with you.
Don't carry. Okay,
That's very specific advice.
Is it only marshmallows, or is it any?
That's what all the tourist boats, all the airboats feed them.
Oh, that's what they feed them. Wow.
Yeah.
No marshmallows. Suvak, what about you? You had any run-ins with swamp rats down there?
I've had a couple. Nothing like too scary, but I've had one pop up after I caught a fish and stare at me and then swim away. There was one time actually on Dora where I started flipping a line of Kissimmee grass, and all these gators were sitting in it, and each time I'd start coming up on one, they'd shoot out, but just swim out to open water. It didn't do anything but spooky a bit.
So if you're not paying attention, you don't have to worry about alligators. All right.
Exactly.
Don't try to pet them. Don't try to wrestle them.
I'll say this.
You can try to catch them.
They keep a distance.
I've spent a little time on Harris Chain, and I ain't seen anything anywhere close to what Eufaula has.
I was just going to say that.
You know, Seminole. Those Eufaula gators were just freaking massive, man.
Massive and way too friendly.
Yeah, they're not
Because
shy
they
at
don't
all.
let them hunt them only on one side of the lake at Eufaula, so they're pretty much protected species out there. They can do whatever they want to.
Yeah, they're growing them right up there. That's the only thing they're growing right, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I think the thing was Okeechobee. It has huge gators. So like, going to Harris Chain, I was kind of shocked that I didn't really see that many.
Yeah, you won't see anything too crazy.
Yeah.
How does the fishing on Okeechobee compare to Harris Chain? Is it even comparable at all?
Fish is different, completely different. Just because it's a shallow bowl compared to, there's a lot of deep water all over the Harris Chain, which I liked. It was something new, something I haven't seen in a while. So, but there's some big fish in the Harris Chain.
Yeah.
Harris is
They
unique.
were catching some monsters down there, Shane, when you were down there, right? Pre-fishing, people were loading up on them.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to ride around with John Cox, and he got onto some huge fish. But like Traba was saying, Harris is a little bit unique for a Florida lake. It's not. There are some of those shallow bowls like Apopka, but you do have some current. You've got some river systems, so you can really target what you're more comfortable with. If you're coming up down here from up north, and you want to fish, you know, I wouldn't say current, but there's moving water a little bit.
They use those rivers to travel too. So they'll go in between lakes because
that's one thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like my primary spot was on Dora, and I thought I was going to load the boat. I go show up there the first day of the tournament, and I sat on it too long, and fish were just gone. They left, so they were going through that canal into Bouclair. That's when I started fishing on my secondary spot. They were loaded up there.
There's a couple of those lakes that are smaller too, where it makes it a lot easier for them to travel from one lake to another.
Yeah, and I think
it looks like there's a bunch of backwater like canal stuff too, like maybe like separated by like a reed line and stuff. I saw several little squirrely looking spots that go back in there.
Yeah, it seems like they're using that Beauclair to go in and spawn just because the water was clear.
There's a lot of residential canals. Those fish move a lot down those canals. I was surprised how many fish are pulling out from the main lake and just running those canals like highways and getting back into some of those residential areas too.
Yep.
Are there where are the smallmouth at usually down there?
Probably about, I don't know, 20 hours north.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not that river, not that kind of river fishing. Right. That's fair.
No, not quite.
If you had to pick, I wanna ask this, and we'll start with Suvak here. If you had to pick your top 3 presentations for Florida in general, you don't have to go specifically Harris Chain, but Florida in general, I know a lot of, especially anglers, you know, northern anglers or even from like the mid-southeast, I know the first time I got to Florida and the last time I got to Florida, I ain't got a damn clue what I'm doing. Like, I feel like those fish are just, they're looking for something completely different than I don't have. And it seems like every time it was a June bug speedworm. So I don't know. like what are your top 3 presentations there?
Well, that's on there. June bug speedworm. Yeah, I mean, for me, a chatterbait June bug speedworm was kind of always my 1-2 punch out there anywhere I was fishing. I'd try to find some grass anywhere I could and throw a chatterbait in it, and I'd usually do decent. If the bite slowed down, I'd start dragging that speedworm and start getting the bite to pick back up again. Really depended on the lake, though. I mean, if I was around, like I said, any kind of grass under the water, hydrilla or eelgrass, something like that, I'll go chatterbait and speedworm. If it's, you know, something that's coming out like the Kissimmee grass or reeds, something like a big easy or a swim jig, going through that. Those are probably, I guess I'll give you those as my top 4. That's probably what I do most often. And then when it got hot, just go punch.
There we go. I was going to say all 4 of yours, you're still burning the bait.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. I mean,
Line.
I tried to avoid doing anything where I had to just sit there and wait as much as possible.
Traba, what about for you?
That's a tough one. Chatterbait, definitely.
Check.
I do good on a popper too. It's a regular topwater popper.
Okay.
And probably a drop shot Cinco.
That's
you're
the
such
Cali shit.
Californian.
That's that Cali shit.
Ah, you're so West Coast. Get out of here.
Probably a drop shot.
That's Abel Patino right there. Anywhere
Dude.
I take him over here, he's like, oh,
But
yeah,
I mean,
drop shot. It's perfect.
But I caught some big ones. Like, so the second day I caught a 9 and an 8 drop shotting.
Wow.
Yeah, so it catches big ones.
You drop shotting beds or what?
No, just out,
Or
like
just
I said,
that-
it's
just
like
that
a
area,
hard
that busy
spot.
area?
Yeah, isolated eelgrass with hard spot around it.
Yeah,
And just kind of dead sticking it.
Bro,
God, that's crazy.
that's nasty.
Yeah, I got some big ones. But it's like it's a power shot. So I'm fishing like 15-pound line.
Okay, well, so I don't need to take the spinny pole. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you can fish them on a bait caster.
I'm still
There you
going
go.
to take the spinny pole. I can't help it.
That's
Shane,
that's what I do.
What are your 3 favorite baits, Shane? Florida resident. You're more than just a co-host.
Yeah.
You're also a Florida angler yourself.
I'm a Florida angler that has no idea what he's doing.
You catch them. You catch them at Seminole, and you caught them at Santee fishing Florida style.
I will do the same thing I did at those, the same thing I've done at Harris before, which is a speed worm again. Like Suvak said, chatterbait is always tied on. I'm probably gonna have some kind of bed fishing rig. Weightless fluke. Growing up in Florida, weightless fluke was everything that I owned. I didn't know there were other baits until I was an adult. So that's going to be on standby. And then, whatever little bed fishing rig I want to do, little bluegill type deal.
And I know, like when we were down on Seminole, it's been a couple years ago. But as those fish were getting ready to bed, like some of them were pushing up under those kind of hyacinth mats. Like they were, I guess there was hard bottom under there, but they were like getting ready to get down under those beds, and punching played a huge role in catching those big females. Is that going to be a similar setup down there? I mean, how does that play in as far as matted grass goes?
Jake's.
We'll go Suvak.
Are you talking like on the Harris chain or just in general? Like,
We'll go in general. I don't want to just completely focus on the Harris chain.
yeah, I mean, this time of year, I think it depends on the weather. And, if your cold front comes in and those mats are holding the warm temperature, they're going to start holding underneath them. It's kind of the same thing, though. Like, I would only punch if I absolutely had to. I mean, if they were biting it, I loved it. But just to get the confidence to just punch and let it sit there for a second, wait for something to come and hit it, it took a lot for me to get to that point.
Yeah.
Traba, what about you? When
Yeah,
do you start punching? How depressed do you have to be before you start punching?
I mean, I punch. I flip. I like flipping a lot. I have noticed that I don't do it. Hasn't been as good as it was flipping. I can't really find a flipping bite anymore. Everything's been open water. So I don't know if fish are just getting a lot of pressure under the mats now. Everybody's doing it.
Damn live scope.
But yeah, it's always going to play a factor. You can always catch flip fish.
I like it. I'm not a big punching fan. It's kind of like watching paint dry for me. So I'll probably skunk
You can
before
be
I start
efficient
punching.
though. Like, you cover a lot of water doing it.
That's what they say.
Yeah, you can cruise pretty quick with it.
I mean, there was one time I was out on Toho. I mean, it was middle of summer, but water was like in the mid 90s, and I couldn't get anything to eat, anything moving. And I started punching, and they were eating it like crazy. So, I mean, if you get on a good punching bite, it's fun and it's a lot of action, but you got to really find them and get on it the right way.
I could be mistaken. I've been wrong before, but I think it was one of the early fork tournaments like 2 years ago. I think it was one of the Bassmasters. Was it Cody Milton that won it punching? If I'm not mistaken, Shane, you've got a memory for this kind of thing.
I have a great memory for it. I have no clue.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right, though. I think it was Cody. I don't remember what he was doing.
And I think, there was a big boat tournament going on at the same time. I think it's when Wheeler ran up on Russ down there or something. around that time and made
yeah.
his little YouTuber video. But
Yeah.
I think the kayak was like, 20 yards back into the thick stuff, punching where, necessarily bass boats weren't easy access. If anybody in the comments is aware of that, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, correct us.
What kind of bag do you think we're looking at kayak wise, Suvak?
2-day total.
Yep.
Oh man,
Weather's looking good. Warming trend.
that's 201.
Damn.
Sheesh. All right. That's stout.
I'll take the
Since you're
under on that
catching
one,
8
Bob.
and 9 pounders on drop shots, Traba, what do you think? 301?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be 2 to 220 probably.
Really?
Yeah, especially if that warming trend's coming through, like you're saying.
I
don't know, though,
because
because the chain, the chain's getting so much pressure like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There's been back to back big tournaments on there, so I don't know.
Do you think we're coming at a suspect time? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I think it's going to be good. I think it's about to.
Oh,
it's probably
okay.
going to break wide open.
You're saying that all that pressure, all the gasoline in the water's got them excited. They're high
Yeah,
life
yeah,
out
yeah.
there.
I just think that they're finally getting a break. So you guys are going to come into this tournament without 300 boats pre-fishing.
We're gonna bring like 150 kayaks down there to beat the shit out of them for 6 days, and then fish a tournament.
Any ramp, any given ramp that you can pedal to.
I haven't looked at the ramp list yet. Shane, have you, by chance?
Yeah, a little bit. There's tons. Harris Chain's got a ramp everywhere you'd want to fish for the most part, and Hobie, they're giving us dozens of options. So
okay, that's what I was wondering. I looked at some of the Google Earth stuff, thinking what's going to be close by that you can swing into.
Yeah, I think it'll be with these designated ramps now. I think it'll be a factor if you can put the work in and get to some of these places, because now you can know for sure. This area is going to be a 3-4 mile pedal from any given ramp. There's not going to be a sliding or anything, or someone getting access that you can't. And that might be a factor. This water close to the ramp more than likely is going to get hit. If you're willing to travel a little bit, since we have these designated areas, you can kind of tell which areas may be a little bit scarce for the kayakers.
Todd Patrick's in the comments, 202 and a quarter. Todd, I'm not going to
I
lie
know a
to
thing
you.
or two about it.
I know. You almost got your number called for this one, pal, but I don't know if you were on the road or not, because we were looking at the top 5 from the Bassmaster Harris Chain, and obviously you were second. We interviewed the winner. I thought, man, we might ought to grab Todd and see if he knows what's happening.
Todd had a blast at that event, man. He was just smoking them out there with Siddiqui.
He caught him. He caught him good down there for sure. Jake, are you still fishing? So we learned about you, Jake. We learned about your prowess through the Kayak Bass Bracket Tour. Are you still doing that stuff, or what does your horizons look like this year?
Not so much. So my goal is really just to fish at the highest level tournaments, as many of them as I can. I just like to compete with the best. And so, I look at whatever KBF, Hobie, and Bassmaster events I can get to. So Hobie events, I'm planning on doing Santee Cooper, Seminole, Kentucky Lake, and the New River. And then the Bassmaster event, I'm going to go to Hartwell. And the KBF, I'm going to do day 2 of Murray at the end of the month, Lake Murray. And then I'm planning on going out to Chickamauga for that in June.
We'll see.
June,
Chicken June, yeah. She's a heartbreaker in June.
Yeah, I had a great weekend of practice. Great weekend of practice last year for the Hobie, and then just
shit. I had a great month of practice for the Hobie. And
it's gonna be a long time before I get over that tournament. Right, that was brutal.
Yeah, that hurt. Traba, what's it going to take to get you back in a kayak? Let's go ahead and just, if we had to put a dollar amount out there, what's it going to take?
I don't know. I might think about jumping back into it. One of the main reasons I quit doing it was because I ended up having back surgery. So it's just like sitting down in that chair, and it just wasn't as comfortable as being in a boat. So that was one of the main reasons I stopped doing it.
Have you done any canal prowling down there in your area for some snakeheads and peacocks?
Yeah, mostly from the bank. Yeah, I'll go and throw swim baits and stuff for peacocks.
That's a fun little deal.
Yeah, no
You've been
snakeheads.
offshore a lot, hadn't you, Jake?
I fish a lot offshore. Yeah, that's my fun fishing. I go do that all the time.
Yeah.
Do you have any Salt Life stickers?
What was that?
Do you have any Salt Life stickers?
That's part of the welcome. That's part of the welcome
just
pack
a tramp
when we moved to
stamp.
Florida.
A tramp stamp? Oh my! Okay, I feel you.
No.
Before you got there.
But no, yeah, tuna fishing. I've gotten really into this. It's called slow pitch jigging.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, vertical jigging. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I like slow pitch softball. It's very similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
Pretty good.
From tuna.
I see Todd Patrick. Here's a little comment. Winner comes off Harris or Little Harris. What are your thoughts on that, Suvak?
So Harris is
75%.
weird. So last, I think it was might have been last year or the year before, fishing the BFL events. What is that?
I'm muted. I'm muted the airplane.
Let it fly over.
That's another Chinese spy balloon just coming over my head. All right, go ahead.
So I think it was 2 years ago. I was fishing the BFLs as a co-angler, and the first BFL was on the Harris Chain, and the second was on the Harris Chain, about a month apart. The first one was won on Big Harris. The day before, or the week before, the week of the second tournament, they sprayed all of Lake Harris, and everything that was good in the tournament, the first tournament, was gone. And my boater was like, "Yeah, I did well out here in the first tournament on Harris, so we're just gonna go fish what I hit last tournament." There was nothing there. But what was interesting about that is after they sprayed it, all the grass was coming up and floating and getting pushed into like corners of the lake, and guys were catching them, punching into that crap that just all bunched up. Yeah. So I mean, the fish are in there, and even if they do something like spray it, they're going to find another place in that lake to go.
How does it set up differently, and why is it not on people's favorites list, I guess?
I don't know. It's yeah. I mean,
I think it's just such an obvious choice that people look elsewhere, try to get creative, overthink.
Yeah.
I've heard Dora more than I've heard any other name on the Harris Chain, and I don't know if it's because I watch cartoons a lot or if it's because it's a good lake.
I don't think it gets messed with as much as far as like management. I don't know. Oh, I got you.
Hey, man, I saw Shane's little gears was turning. Like, what's this got to do? Okay.
Yeah.
Traba, what are your thoughts? Why do you not like Lake Harris or Little Harris?
Hate Lake Harris
or medium Harris or however many?
I mean, I caught a 9-pound fish in Little Harris in practice for the event, so it just wasn't consistent. I got on some fish, and I was kind of keeping it for like a backup. Sorry, it's loud. I work at an airport, so
that's what I've noticed.
Yeah. But no, I just couldn't find anything consistent in there. A lot of the top guys did well in Harris though for this event. There's only like maybe two areas on that lake that have grass. Everything else is kind of sprayed or it's gone. Yeah.
Did you up there around that? What is it? Long Island up around on Lake Harris?
I don't know. There's Banana Cove. There's a grass.
I'll be there.
La Boya.
Yeah. There's a lot of hydrilla in there, and then there's right outside of the ramp. I think it's like ski beach ramp or whatever. Yeah, there's grass to the left as soon as you come out of there.
Yeah,
but
there's a good little spot out to the right. You go back in that A little cove there is good fishing up in there too.
Yeah, I didn't see that was all off limits. I think for us. So,
Yeah.
Bouclair and Dora just look the best to me. I would say Paca is probably going to be where it's won.
Dang,
Apopka is just going to be it. I think Apopka is great fishing, but it's weather's going to play a big factor with kayakers.
Because
that
it's
lake
just so
is
wide
massive
open and shallow.
The wind will kick your ass if it picks up midday or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to be windy too, isn't it?
Who knows, bro?
Yeah.
You think we check the weather?
we got almost 2 weeks. I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah. No,
I'll
it
tell you
feels
the
good so
morning
far.
of, maybe.
But no, yeah, Bouclair. There was a lot of giant bags kicked out of there. Dora the same. I think that the bite Dora kind of left. Fish moved out of there.
Man, what I always liked about those lakes too, like being in a kayak, some of them are so small that you can cover a lot of water in that one lake, or find a couple good spots in one lake, and then really pick them apart and put together a good bag instead of traveling like a mile to one spot and then a mile to another spot. They're all a little bit closer in proximity, or they can be.
Yeah, Bouclair is probably the smallest one, and if you like clear water, that's the one.
I like the name of it. It sounds cuter than the rest.
You can kind of look on, just like Google Maps or any satellite imagery, and you can tell each of those lakes has a different water clarity. They're not all the same. Like Bouclair is, like I said, very clear kind of black water lake, or that black bottom. And then you get to Apopka, and it's one of those kind of greener, light colored lakes. But each lake's kind of got its own personality as you go through them.
And it's crazy because the water comes out of Bouclair and flows into Dora, but Dora's water is muddy. It's like really brown. It didn't make any sense to me when I was looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Which lake's going to put out big bass? The big bass, not overall.
The number
quantity.
one big fish.
The 26.5-inch big bass.
That'll probably be
Suvak, go.
I'd say Apopka. I've never fished it.
Y'all are hyped on Apopka. We're gonna have I love this. I'm glad we did this podcast. There's gonna be 129 people in Apopka. I'm gonna be in Bouclair. Shane's gonna be in Little Cousin Harris.
Yeah.
Out there at Banana Hammock Cove, getting down, playing beach volleyball.
There are some courts right there, though.
Stop in for a beer halfway through the day.
Hey,
Don't tell nobody.
You're gonna make me get back in.
Not on tournament days, son.
root beer.
Man, I was fishing a BFL one time, and my boater, like, we were getting blanked halfway through the day. And he's like, "Oh, hey, there's a bar up there. You want to go get a drink?" Just kidding. You want to go get a drink?
But for real, though. Yeah. What do you think, Traba? Big bass.
Trust me, I've had many of times where I felt like doing that. Yeah,
what do you got for big bass?
Fish.
But I don't know. There's big ones. That whole chain's loaded.
Todd's still hyped on Will Harris. I think Todd is trying to gar hole us on this deal.
I think
Todd's trying to put everybody in Little Harris.
Shade. Yeah.
Damn, Florida Jerry, what do you think? You got some juice on this stuff. Your name's Florida. Tell us what's going on down there.
Yeah,
somebody can help us out.
Switcheroo on it.
Do you think this will put out the biggest bag of the season, be in Florida, or do you think Santee is going to smash, or do you think Seminole in
April?
Yeah, Seminole.
Post-spawn fish just out there snacking on things, getting warm.
That'll be the big battle, I think.
You think so?
Really surprised with the play. So I don't know. Harris might do it.
I think with this.
Maybe.
Traba, I'm glad you joined us tonight. I'm gonna let you go. We're gonna sign you out just so we get you back to flying airplanes. All right.
We're gonna do that.
All right,
guys have a good
buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
See you, bud.
I'm glad he came on. I'm glad he came on with us.
That was last minute.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, now we're back. Now we're back with the audio.
Where were we?
We were talking about big bags. Have you fished any of the others, Suvak? Did you fish Seminole with us?
I fished, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I thought you came to Seminole.
Yeah, that was my first Hobie, actually.
That was a good one.
2 years ago.
Yeah, I had a decent first day. I couldn't get my limit. I had 4 fish, and then I only got one on day 2. But man,
I went home on day 2.
Yeah.
Had a great time the first day, left the second day. Big Jim's was great, though. It was a good time.
Yeah.
I think we're dodging that whole, the risk of a massive cold front and shutting those Florida fish down. I think April's perfect for that lake. And I think we'll see a ton of fish caught.
I think it'll be chewing. And, I mean, I wanted to touch on Seminole, too, because obviously that is pretty much a Florida-esque fishery down there. It's close enough, in my mind, to be qualified as a Florida fishery. But, Shane, we'll go to you on this one. Like, how do you think that's going to set up as far as what's going to be key players? I know how, you like to fish it, but what do you think the fish are going to be doing out there? Because I know people were live scoping and jerk baiting and all kind. I mean, pretty much any way you want to fish, it felt like.
Yeah, the crazy thing about Seminole, it really does have that. You can actually do some map study. You can do some topography on it. You've got 3 different river systems running through. We had the guy a couple years ago that absolutely smashed them fishing channel swings, crankbaits, chatterbaits. But I mean, what I'll be doing. I'll probably be up shallow somewhere. I think there's gonna be a lot of fish up shallow. I think that's the perfect time of year. The water's not gonna be too hot in April in Georgia. So I'm gonna be burning through some grass, hopefully. Like Jake said,
I mean, that lake's got a lot to offer. It's got a lot of river too. Like I went up in the river and caught several nice fish between pre-fishing and day 1. But
I would love for somebody to just all the way dive in on the shoal bass bite on that river system and tell us about it. I know they're up there on the Flint within bounds. I just don't know anyone that's like fully dedicated to run up there and chase that bite.
I did for 3 days and about broke my neck diving in on that bite. So it's the problem is, and when we were there, granted there was a lot more current than usual. The problem was actually getting there on tournament day. Like if you have a motor, it's not a big deal to run up there, but it's a pretty good run and it's a pretty good amount of current up there that you're having to go, fight against. And that was a painstaking process. Even I was in the PA then. I was going to say an Outback might have been a better choice for that deal, but the PA was rough.
Link's probably scoot up there, but
yeah,
there wasn't anything you could float, go up, the northern.
I launched at the furthest most north, and we did a float. I did like a 14 or 16 mile float.
Jeez.
It was a sad day on day 2.
Yeesh.
Daniel, the Upper Flint was sketchy. Pro neighbor, and of course Thomason were up there with us. It was a little bit of a battle. Yeah, I mean as far up as you could get that way.
Upper
not the actual Upper Flint, because that would be 30 miles upriver. But
I was really surprised. Like that tournament was the first time I'd been out to Seminole. I went up like a month earlier just to get to know the lake for the first time, but I tried going to a handful of different ramps, like all over different river systems, and I was so surprised by how different some of the different areas set up.
Oh yeah, you got bluff walls on one side and then backwater swamp area right across from it.
Yeah, and then I was listening to a podcast, I forget which one it was, talking to a few people about how they were catching them, and it was like one person sitting in 20 feet of water with a drop shot, and somebody else is, flipping and punching like traditional Florida fishing. And, it's just, you can come from anywhere and fish your way and find a way to do it.
I think wasn't that the first Seminole event that Hobie did? I don't know, was it Counts? I don't know who it was that was actually punching those mats.
Counts was wrecking them. He had like 101 inches or something. I mean, it was something. Was it 106? It was something insane.
He was like tossing back 19, 20
on
fish.
Wasn't it on day 1 and then day 2 that cold front hit? And buddy, a lot of people got their lunch packed on that one, and I was one of them. I had my fish moved, and I was like, man, I was in a little bowl-shaped grassy area. I was like, man, where do these fish even go? Like I fished all this stuff, shallow, deep. They went under the bridge to Matt Ball, and he wrecked them. They went 120 yards under that bridge. I was like, dang, all right, that's cool. I like it. Jordan Marshall has missed the podcast. He was listening to all 4 alarms of KFL Madness. So I can't
he's
wait.
He's a big shot over there now.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty much on, I think, some sort of corporate board or something.
Yeah, board of directors. Yeah,
some board of erectors. Yes.
You can keep us updated on the goings on.
Bob Baller, aka Coon King, he is wanting to fish Lake Cumberland. I'll tell you what makes me nervous about Lake Cumberland, Bob. Jay Whalen is real hyped up on Lake Cumberland, so I'm gonna assume it fishes really, really tough for anybody that's not from Lake Cumberland. It would not be worth the trip from Minnesota.
From Minnesota,
Bob. Damn, son.
you got a lot better fishing closer to you.
Goodness gracious, boy, come on. Look at a map. Look how much land and water there is between there. Oh my gosh. Suvak, what are your, in the Central Florida area, your top 3 Florida fisheries? Headwaters
besides Fellsmere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. Once Fellsmere started letting boats in, the difference in the fishing was insane. It was crazy. Like, you could throw an empty hook out there when it was paddle only and catch a fish. And I mean, it started just fishing more like a normal lake once the boats got in there, where you couldn't go out there and just assume you're going to catch 50 fish every day. But man, I always loved Toho. That was probably my favorite. Again, just the grass was everywhere. I could, had a couple spots where I could go. I knew it would always hold fish. Toho was great. Okeechobee, depending on the day or time of year, and depending on the area of the lake, depending on if it was sprayed or not. But there was times Okeechobee was my favorite. Man, I'm sure I started really fishing Kissimmee a lot. Kind of closer towards when I was getting ready to move, I started finding a bunch of areas that had brush piles and picking those apart. And I found a few that seemed relatively untouched that I was able to pull pretty nice fish out of.
How deep is the water when you're talking about brush piles?
The ones I fish
brush piles sticking out of the water.
Guarantee they were untouched because nobody.
It's not like
it was dry land. That was someone's yard.
Yeah, it was just brush.
That's just got flooded a little bit that day.
It wasn't even a pile. It was just regular brush.
Just a brush.
No, they be in like 7 to 10 feet of water is what I'd look for them in. Because there's nothing on Kissimmee. You can find hydrilla, but it's hard to find it. And other than that, it's like fishing the Kissimmee grass.
I was gonna say, it looked like people were catching them in actual weeds from the photos from the event down there a week or two ago. I mean, it was like, looked like actual weed. That's Kissimmee grass, right? Just weeds.
Yeah, like the yellow grass, the hay grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. What were you about to say, Shane?
I was gonna say, it makes sense on the brush pile bite. These big bowl lakes down here. There's no channel. There's no real structure for them to grasp onto. So if there's any log or stump or brush pile, anything like that for them to cling onto, I would imagine there's always going to be fish hanging around.
Do you think if I can get some bushes to Banana Cove?
If you can get a bush over to the old Banana Cove, yeah, I think you might get a couple bites.
You think there'll be some swingers out there?
Might get some action on the bush, yeah. You better get down there pretty early and let it start soaking, though.
All right. I put some upside down pineapples out there. We'll
get
it popping in a popka, if you know what I'm saying. Holla at me.
We're not too far from the villages down there now. We go get some of those retirees.
Oof. Our Airbnb is in the villages.
Oh, sounds like something you
bingo
planned.
night.
It is, and I paid extra to have the hot tub turned on. So we're gonna have a good time. Hey, if you're looking for a good time, you swing on by the Claremont Lounge.
Pull the golf cart up.
That's right. Beep 3 times for entry. You beep twice, you're a cop.
That's right.
No offense to cops. If anybody's listening, it's a cop. I love you guys. But you can't come to the party.
Hey, why isn't Berlin Addy fishing Harris? Do we know?
Conrad?
Yeah. Yeah, conflict.
So
of
I
interest.
actually asked him. He is debating signing up right now. He had such
damn.
an out of body emotional experience getting to run into Christine down there.
I'm still reeling from that. Boy,
I'm still reeling from that, dude. I read that post and I thought he was talking about her, and then 20 words into it, realized it was actually him talking about himself.
I got it saved. I read a couple pages of it each night before I go to bed, so I'm working my way through it.
You're gonna get there. Jake, what was
Jordan
that? What was
say?
that? Now you can be the only Jake. What was that? Your cat?
That was my cat. She got in a bag. Got stuck.
Old woman playing pool.
So Jake has a deaf cat, as we've learned. So the cat, even though we've heard it meowing, the cat doesn't know that it's meowing. And now I got stuck in a bag. So we're working through this together, guys.
I think Jordan Marshall is remembering Paris, Tennessee, but maybe I just wasn't there for
He's
whatever.
definitely remembering Paris, Tennessee, because I ain't been.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, it is. I ain't been to the Harris Chain down there shooting
No, it ain't
pool
no
and
damn
all that.
villages, Jordan.
Man, come on. That was a
But I
trailer
bet
park.
you could hit a 2.0 down there though.
I'm all right.
Run it back.
Bob, with the joke of the night. I guess the cat's out of the bag now.
My God.
That's it. Great job. Great job, Bob. You rarely disappoint.
Oof.
Oh, Scott with the secondary. Oh,
Boy,
poor Scott.
it's getting
Poor
deep in
Scott.
here. So, what's it going to take to get you to come down and fish this Suvak? If you
Quit
know,
your job.
do we need?
I
Yeah,
gotta quit my
do we need to
job,
write a
yeah.
letter or what? What do we need?
Oof. Probably more than that.
Do you think you would win it if you were there?
No.
Well,
Hell yeah! I like your honesty.
that's
Nope.
the spirit.
No, I mean, if I was on them, I'd hope for a top 10. But I mean, I'd have good days out there, but I'd never really like smashed them where I'm putting up a 100-inch bag in a day or something like that. Like I've done well, but just like I fished the Bassmaster out there last year. And I think I only actually posted like 3 fish in that tournament, but I jumped off, I think 3 or 4 of them. I was around fish, but even if I landed, if I got my limit, I probably would have finished with like mid 80s in inches.
Well, remember, Hobie's paying out, 15%. So if we get 150 guys, that's 15 plus 7, 22 spots.
No idea.
22, 23 places. So,
Whatever you say on that one, mathlete, I'm going to take your word for it. I'm kind of sad. I wanted to see the formula continue to where we'd be doing 10 grand payouts at most of these tournaments. That's the thing that
it's like a benchmark.
Right. Well, I mean, because I feel like that's a great number to draw people, especially, we had De Palma on, to draw people from the boat side. Like, hey, you know, it's worth it. Pay $290
good visual.
and win 10 grand. Like, I hope we can make some adjustments and get back to that number. I think that was good for optics. I think it was good for the draw of the sport, and I would hope, hopefully.
Do you know what
balance
entry?
that back out.
What the entry has to be to hit 10,000 with this new format?
290 or whatever. Whatever the limit is now.
250.
Steve Fields was in the comments. He can tell. Steve knows everything. Everything. He's going to put a Hobie sticker on my Hobie boat that I cover up the logo on every year. So it's nice of him. Appreciate that.
Otherwise, they won't know what you're pedaling
Yeah, no
around
one
in.
would have a clue. No one would know what I was pedaling around in out there with my little flippers. I could be in a vibe. Who knows?
Could be a lightning.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, right?
That's right.
I've laid off of it all night, Jake. All night.
I knew it was coming. I was
Just
waiting
one,
for it.
one quick one. One quick one at the end of the show. That's not
We got to talking about the villages and the bananas and whatnot. I figured we might as well slide a vibe joke in.
Yeah, I figured that was coming at some point. Man, I've been happy with it though. I like my vibe. It something I liked about it was if you ever got down into like that marshy stuff, like on Griffin or like Headwaters. I like it's really like low profile, so it goes through that thick grass a lot easier than something bigger and bulkier.
You ran a motor too, right? Run a
Yeah.
motor, I guess. Yeah, still.
Yeah.
XI3?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I did my homework. I tried to pay attention sometimes.
That's what
You got
I got. I got to decide if I want to bring the PA or the links, because I really want to have, I got live scope and everything on the PA, and it's obviously more comfortable. I'm going to be sight casting, I want to be standing and pitching, but that links can get way back into some stuff.
Do you think scope's going to be a factor?
No.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to be scoping.
Jake, do you think there would be any scoping factor down there?
I don't think at this point in the year.
Okay.
If you find, if you're looking for some of the spots, like Traba said, the little pathways, the little hard bottom.
If you find if somebody's on shell bars or something like that.
I'm not going to have time to go search for that stuff. I'm getting down there Friday.
Yeah, it's more of a
I'll probably get down maybe
homeboy
Thursday,
tactic.
maybe Thursday, Wednesday night, Thursday, something like that. So I may
hit
have
my
2
little
days.
Skinny waters. We'll hit my skinny waters and have fun, and probably have a cold front and get blown out and
see if them cat eyes are still on the trees from riding around with John Cox.
Yeah, right.
See if you can find your way back in the trails there.
Yeah,
it's pretty slick. It's pretty slick, Shane. I'll give you credit on that one. What do you think the difference was in the Harris Chain for the bass event? Because you go back and you look at the standings, were there any? Maybe one Florida guy in the top 10? I
thought about that earlier.
Do you think local knowledge really plays that bit? I know we had you guys on here, obviously, to kind of point folks in the right direction, but it doesn't seem like you guys can fish. When everybody else comes to town, you're average. What do you think makes the difference on that, really?
I think locals kind of have their own set idea of what they're going to do. Like Jake probably has an idea of what he would do if he was there, where he'd go. I kind of have an idea of where I want to go and what I hope works. But I think these northern guys come down there and just have fun. They stick with the basics. They don't overthink it. And they, I think, adjust as they go instead of kind of being dug in, Yeah. Kind of like happens on the Tennessee River. You're dug into what works.
No, that's not it.
You don't know anything about that.
Hell no. They were not going to eat a pink robo worm. They were not going to eat a pink robo worm. I knew it the whole time.
Up on an entire shed covered in mayflies, so I just fished that. Okay, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Smart.
It kind of makes
sense.
Turns
out it was a good look. Jake, what do you think the reason is when you get these out-of-towners in there disrupting?
I agree with that. I mean, if you fish a lake so much that you know it really well, you know that some days the fish are going to be eating in a spot really well, or they're still going to eat, but not as well as you would want them to. And it's a lot easier to stay somewhere where you know there's fish and you know you can get them to bite than go try to find something else or try to find something new. Whereas if it's some out-of-towner coming down, everything's new. So if they're searching. They're spending a lot more time just exploring and trying to find something that they can make a pattern out of. Whereas I don't think as much time goes into that if you're a local.
I got you. All right. Well, I appreciate it. The last thing I want to end this up with is just an update on Rowan and the charity event that we're running now. Spoke with Jeff earlier. She had her bone marrow biopsy today. They're waiting on the results from that. They got her biopsy, her general tumor biopsy back. It looks like medium to high risk on that. So they're waiting to confirm with a couple more tests. They're going to do what I think is the equivalent of like a little baby PET scan on her Wednesday or Thursday, and then begin chemo treatment. So they're going to do chemo first to shrink the tumor, and then surgery after that. So either way, they've got a long road in front of them. And again, anything you guys can do to help. We've had a lot more sponsor prizes come in, donations for the auction stuff today. I'll get an updated list out on that. But the tournament registration is open all month. Again, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the family, to just kind of help them offset expenses as they go through this, unimaginable battle. So
it goes directly to the dad, right? If I'm not mistaken. So you're sending it straight to the family. So
yep.
Whether you can fish it or not, it's always good to jump in on those.
Amen. We appreciate it, everybody. Keep Jeff and them in your thoughts and prayers. Obviously, nobody knows what it's like to experience anything like that unless you've been in those shoes. So continue to push it, and thanks for the support. Jake, thank you for coming on tonight. We appreciate it. I'm sure
Thanks,
a lot
buddy.
of folks that have never fished Florida are going to appreciate the insight. Shane, thank you for hopping in and being a co-host. You know, you should probably start podcasting. I'll go ahead and say that.
I might think about that. It's a good time.
All right, y'all take care.
To talk about. See you guys.
Right. Thanks for having me on. We'll see you guys.
See y'all.
See ya.
All right, boys.